Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming at you with another one. Um, I came across two clips here that I want to share with everyone. One is with the governor from Hawaii um, speaking at an event or at a hearing, or I don't know where they're at exactly, but he's addressing the situation where they're going to start letting people back into the fire zone um, to, I guess, sift through whatever remains they can um, and see, I guess, where they start to rebuild from there. But he says something, a couple of things that I really don't like. As I've said before, I have a strong feeling that this is something that's going to stray away, where the residents won't be able to rebuild back in Maui. But I mean, time will tell. We still have to see what's going on. The second clip has to do with a video or two that I did a few videos ago, and the second video, I kept coming across it, but I just never stopped to like really look at it. Being busy, making my own content, putting stuff together, and then I finally today decided to, check it out. I kept looking at the timeline on it. It was over an hour long, but within the first few minutes, I knew that, you know what, there was a reason for me to look at this now. I had to put in my input on what I thought a couple of videos ago, and mind you, I've never seen the video before. I've only seen the first few minutes, and I was in shock at what I seen in the video. So before we continue any of this, I truly, deeply want to thank all the new subscribers that have subscribed to my channel and on Rumble. I don't know what happened, but I want to thank everybody. All of a sudden last night, I should say since yesterday afternoon, before I got home, I was down to like, I think it was 80 subscribers or something like that. Got up this morning, had to rush to work, came back home, turned on the computer, and I'm up to 113. And I'm just like, wow. Like, all right, that is like amazing. So I truly, really want to thank all my new subscribers. All the comments that people have left me has been really great. And like I said, I'm trying to grow the channel, both here and on Rumble, also under True Outlaw Patriot. So don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, so like that, when I drop a video, I'll put it out. Also, I did have one of the subscribers send me a request for some music for me to do reaction on. So I'm gonna try to get to that and see if I can do some more music reaction videos, just to break the monotony from everything that's going on. So I'm gonna try to do a few more of those. But without further ado, I want to take you to the first clip. This one's about 3 minutes long. The second one's about an hour, but I'm not playing it all. But we're gonna go with this first one first. So here we go.
The question is around the details surrounding the re-entry into Lahaina/Maui.
Thank you, Jennifer. So the reentry period begins on Monday. This is mostly driven by the county, and I had a great conversation with Chief Oliveira, I still call him Chief, who is the MEMA director now. They're going to be as flexible as they can with people. They anticipate some people will only want to go for a very short period of time, a few minutes, to say goodbye, in a way, to their property. Others may want to stay several hours. They're going to be very accommodating. They will be providing a lot of protective gear. And they're also going to be mindful of the environment at the time. For example, if winds are very heavy or high and there's anything moving the ash around, they're going to be more careful. They're going to go methodically through a very large number of quadrants or zones, and I would actually defer to them for any more details than that. I think it's going to take several weeks at least for them to get through. Given the pace at which the EPA has gone through the properties, probably all will be cleared in a few short weeks, actually, for that phase. They anticipated it was going to be 3 months total to get through to a safe space. There's going to be, like I said earlier, some behavioral health support furnished by the state. We know that people will be grieving and suffering a great deal of despair when they see how little is left. Also, there are some locations where people did lose loved ones, as we know. So all of those are considerations, but they intend to do whatever necessary for people to get closure.
Okay, now I'm gonna stop right here real quick. The one factor I want to bring up, and I want everybody to pay close attention to this in the weeks to come when they implement this, okay? And it has to do with what everybody's been talking about, which is the body count. Now, mind you, he says that they're going to start letting people in to go to their respective properties and deal with it in whatever way. Sift through whatever's left. In my opinion, there's not much. I mean, you've seen it on the video that I left before, how they cleaned the place up. They're not going to find any remains, in my opinion. I believe that cleanup was coordinated, and it was to cover up the body count. Okay, the actual body count. But the one thing people need to pay attention to, because it dawned on me, I said, you know what, this might be the right time to find out exactly how many people have passed away from this. And the one thing that people should keep their eyes open for is when they let people in, okay, who exactly is going to go where? In other words, let's say a group of 10 people are going to 10 different spots. They're all representing, a family. So they go to 10 different homes. And let's just say there's, 1,000 homes. When this is all said and done, people need to find out how many homes how many homeowners did not show up to check out their homes or their property, their businesses, whatever the case is. Okay? Because something tells me that's exactly what's going to happen. And in my opinion, that would be a good way to find out at least a closer body count than what these liars are telling everybody. Because from what I'm hearing, it's not going to just be family members like from another part of the island and or friends. It's supposed to be the people that live there. And if that's the case, then something tells me a lot of homeowners are not going to show up. And that's something that everybody needs to keep an eye out for. And especially anybody on the island. I understand they want to have it coordinated where they're going to walk people around. I'm not going to necessarily say that that's the way it's done. I mean, I've seen news stories for so many years of when there's a fire somewhere. Excuse me. You never see such a giant coordinated effort when there's so much damage where they have the resources to accompany every single homeowner, business owner, and do I don't want to use the word tour, but in other words, it's like they're taking a group of people and they're touring them around an area saying, okay, we're watching over you, go check out your zone, whoever lives in this section. And I just find that, to me, I find that weird that they're going to do it like that. If there's nothing left, then there's nothing to steal. So who are they afraid of that's going to go in? What it is now? I understand that they want to have people there to help the ones that are grieving. There's going to be a shock, but in my opinion, those workers should be standing on the side. It should be family members and friends that should be going to help the ones who have lost. If everybody could understand where I'm coming from, but let's continue.
Follow up, or are you good?
I don't know that there'll be a formal time limit. There will definitely be capacity for several hours for people to go through. In a discussion last week, they did talk about having some support from county personnel professionals to help people sift through some of the ash. So there will be support there in general. I think some people will need to take several hours to have this first visit. This doesn't mean this will be the last time either, of course, that people will get back to the property. It's still their property. But it will then go into the next phase, which is the larger removal of debris, which, by the way, when the Army Corps of Engineers does, they're going to stage that debris still in Hawaii for a significant amount of time, so it doesn't go immediately to the mainland. So there'll be...
Okay. So you heard what he said. He said so people can go sift through the ash, and then they're going to, do whatever to get through the bigger parts. Like, once again, I'll bring it up of the video that I put out with the drone footage of how it looked like they cleaned everything up and put everything in piles. Okay? Where whatever it is that they sifted through themselves in the beginning, where they dumped it, where they took all the cars, stuff like that, is anybody's guess. Okay? This man right here hasn't said nothing about it. Okay? So the survivors that are going to go in, and like he just said, they're going to sift through the ash. What is it exactly that he thinks they're going to be looking for? And I'm not saying that in a rude way. What I'm saying is that he knows the cleanup that they did. Now, I understand they had to go in there and possibly check, for bodies. But I said it before that this is going to affect people big mentally to go back and see an empty lot and just a pile of garbage. That is going to affect them so much more than what this man right here could ever understand. Because the way they did it, they kind of, in my opinion, they kind of took away a part of closure for a lot of these people. All they know is that the day all this happened, they got up, they left, they looked behind, they seen, and they knew what they left behind. Now they're going to go back and just see a square lot with ash in it and a pile of debris on the side. And then knowing that somebody had already sifted through that. And this is something that people need to understand. And I don't think this man understands the gravity of that. It's really disheartening to think what these people are going to go through. It truly is. But let's finish this one off.
Be lots of opportunities for people to see if they find a lost ring or a picture, some other keepsake.
You see, and that's just bogus, man. They're not going to find anything like that. I'd be amazed if they did. I'd be amazed if there was some spots that they didn't rummage through when they were doing the cleanup. But the truth of the matter is, it's like, did they really leave anything behind for relatives and friends, or even the survivors to come back and claim? People are going to be, in my opinion, you know what? I'm not even going to speak for everybody in Maui. Me personally, I would be totally upset if that happened to me and I went back and all I seen was ash and a pile of rubble to the side. That would totally, just seriously vex my soul. But hopefully that won't be the case. We'll see. So everybody needs to keep that, keep their eyes and ears open on that. But now for the next clip that I want to show, this is really disturbing to me, and I know a lot of people have been, online with the conspiracy theories and people threatening, and now the powers that be are, putting word out that people can't be talking about all kinds of, different scenarios of why these fires happen. Before I play the next clip, I just want to make one thing clear. Okay? I am a natural born American citizen. Okay? I live in the United States of America. The Constitution protects my rights, okay, to speak freely and think freely. So before anybody comes out and says or leaves a comment, which, like I said, I've had 2 bad comments sent to me. One was about a month and a half ago, and one was a couple of days ago, but it was over a music video. So, I mean, it is what it is. But before anybody comes in and tries to leave me bad comments about, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, this and that, yada, 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 listen, let's get one thing straight. Okay? My God-given right is to think the way I think. My opinion is my opinion. The same thing goes for everybody else. Okay? As long as my opinion doesn't put anybody's life at risk, that's all that matters. I don't believe that, oh, your opinion hurt my feelings. That's just too bad. And I'm not trying to come off heavy right now, you know, to get into the video, but I'm just saying this because a couple of videos ago I put out some content, and you know, I put my opinion to it, you know, and I got a lot of good, you know, feedback on it. But this video, like I said, I've been pushing it off for the past couple of weeks, just like brushing it by, and I finally, you know, decided, it popped up again today, and I said, okay, let me check this out. And what was throwing me off was the title of it. Because when I see certain titles, I start thinking, all right, here's another person. Everybody thinks they're a professional when it comes to certain things. But I clicked on it, and within the first 5-10 minutes, I was like, wow, I gotta make a video on this, because had I watched this 2 or 3 weeks ago, I would have questioned myself for putting out the same opinion on the video I did 3 days ago. But the video I put out 2 or 3 days ago, that was my opinion. And the spooky thing about it is that I left a comment on there. Well, I made a comment during the video. And then watching the video that I'm going to show you now, a certain person in the video starts making the same comments, and that really blew my mind. But without further ado, let's get into this video. And
I've been to 38 aftermaths, like I said, and 107 trips to all these in the last 7 years. And somewhere along the line, I was designing a hike up north in Santa Rosa, maybe an hour away. And some pictures came up on the internet that didn't compute to me. And when I share my screen here, I'm going to show you some of those.
So that was about 7 years ago.
7 years ago.
You saw a fire, and you're just like, what? That doesn't look normal. So just go ahead. Share your screen.
okay, I'm going to stop it real quick right here. As you already heard it, the way it already started. Supposedly this guy's a 48-year-old arborist. He questions the Maui wildfire. Now, like I said, this has been popping up on YouTube, but I just never paid attention to it because every time I seen the title, I was thinking, here we go, everybody's a professional now, everybody's going to put in their 2 cents, which I shouldn't talk because I'm putting my 2 cents into it also. But I was trying to keep away from certain things. I was just trying to listen to what people were saying on the ground. Okay, mostly that. And then, but it kept popping up and on different feeds for some odd reason. Okay, and if it popped up again on one of my feeds, and it was through a reaction video from somebody I just started watching, and I was like, okay, let me just watch it, because if it pops up and I like watching this content creator, and now he's doing a reaction on the same video, then I definitely got to check it out. So listen to what this man has to say. Okay, he already started with some of the pictures he's seen, some of the fires didn't seem right. Okay, so here we go.
And
as you do that, I'm going to shut this glass door for sound, but keep going.
okay. What I saw was something that didn't make sense to me. I saw this picture of Santa Rosa, California. this came up on my computer screen because I'm looking for hikes and waterfalls and such. And this came up, and yeah, all the houses are missing their white ash. But
Do you people see that? This is in Santa Rosa, California. This was years ago. Okay? Now, me, as soon as I started watching this video, me watching him say this, that's when it already hit me. I was just like, there's no way. There is no way. And I'll point out again what everybody's been pointing out and what I pointed out in my other videos. Look at all the ash. Look at all the trees. Now, nobody can look at this picture and say this is Maui. Somebody might say, well, that's not true. That's got to be somewhere else. It doesn't matter where it's at. It does not matter where it's at, people. It could be here. It could be in Bangladesh. It could be anywhere. It does not matter where it's at. What matters is that look at the devastation of all these burnt buildings. Look at the piles of ash. And look at all the trees that are standing up. All in between. It should be flat. If that many buildings burned, if that much material burned, these trees should have been like burnt twigs in a campfire. Basically. But there's a lot more, so let's continue.
But what are all the trees doing there? Many of these are pines and eucalyptus and very flammable leaves. It just made no sense to me. I've got a background of cooking on campfires for my entire adult life. From sea level to 13,000 feet in the Sierra. I've burned everything. And everything burns in a tiny campfire. And this is a horrific fire.
Okay, and that's the part right there that caught me. When he said about the campfire. Because I mentioned that in the video that I made. I mentioned campfire and I mentioned a barbecue. That what do you see when it burns? It's all ash. There are some remnants of some stuff that didn't burn. But then around it, like if it's a campfire, you put your rocks around it. You burn everything aside. By the end of the weekend, is nothing but ash and maybe some big pieces of something else just staying there that didn't quite burn. But it's all white ash. Okay? If you put your charcoal in a barbecue pit, you start barbecuing, let's say it doesn't matter what you cook. When the barbecue's over, and I'm not the only one this happened to, if anybody says it's never happened to them, you're a liar. Plain and simple. If it hasn't happened to you at least once, you're a liar. But what do you see when the fire of the barbecue goes out? You'll see all the white ash in the middle, and sometimes you'll see some charcoal briquettes that didn't burn, or burned halfway, and it's on the outside of the ash. So when he came out and said everything burns in a tiny campfire, and then he says, and this is a horrific firestorm, what do you think the next question he's going to ask? What do you think the next question is going to be that he's going to ask? Let's continue.
Storm, they said. Why are all the trees still there?
Thank you.
So it didn't work well for me. And I waited a couple months and I went up there after things died down.
I don't mean to keep cutting it, but this is what a lot of people have been asking. And on some of the videos that I've put out, I've asked the same question. The video that I put out 2 days ago, okay, where it showed the fires in Kula, I believe it was Kula, right? If I remember correctly, where I showed the houses that were burned in the middle of giant trees, of brush and all that. None of that is burnt. Just the house reduced to what? Ash. And it's funny, and without me saying too much, but it's funny how certain people are putting out that we cannot even entertain the idea or have an opinion that something as nefarious as, I don't know, think about it, people, took place other than a wildfire. But he's got something interesting to say, so let's continue.
Down, and I've analyzed every street I could for 8 hours. Nothing, I mean nothing, added up. I've never seen anything like in my life. I was completely baffled. And we'll get into the materials and the fine tuning of this in a minute here. But when I see forest fires, the trees are burned up, the needles are gone, the twigs are gone, many of the branches are gone. Sometimes the trunk is burned down halfway or all the way to a low stump, and even holes in the ground. That's the way they burn. No exception. They don't leave their needles on there. With their needles on there, how do we even call it a forest fire? The forest didn't burn. So I saw that, and shortly after my journey, I saw this picture on the internet from a drone possibly, and I see these buildings, a Jack in the Box.
Now I'm going to pause this here because I don't know if anybody can see this, but very tiny up here on the top, it says April of, I believe, 2019. That's how tiny it is. If you have a bigger screen than mine, you could probably read it out some more. So this was 4 years ago. Now he's going to explain what these buildings are, but before he does, look at all the green. Now some people could say, well, you know what? These were farther, this line and that line was pretty much far. Okay, no problem. What about the green here? What about there? What about there? What about there? What about there? There. Kind of strange, huh? And right here, as a matter of fact, there's 3 buildings, but one's a McDonald's, one's a Jack in the Box, and I don't know what the other one is, but let's continue.
McDonald's and a gas station. And they're just completely burned, leaving only metals and stone. But what I see is the trees. All 3 species here are in the poison oak family. Chinese pistache or pistachio, African sumac, and Peruvian pepper, which is now called California pepper. All of them did not burn. And how did a fire cross a freeway? This is...
Ding, 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 ding. Did everybody hear that? How did the fire cross the freeway? I made a video on that too. A lot of content creators made a video on that. A lot of people have been asking that question. If there's nothing to burn on one side, how did the fire cross over, past all the trees, burn the buildings, past these trees, burn that building, past those trees? Sound familiar? This was in 2019, people. Here we are 4 years later, 2023. And we see the same thing happening in Maui. But let's continue.
Highway 101 in the Santa Rosa area. You got 200 yards of no trees before you get to these buildings, but yet they burned and nothing else. And anybody who's gone to a fast food, you notice there's no wood showing. It's all plastics and metals and slate and terracotta and newer building materials. Fires don't just start on these types of buildings, but yet there's the pictures. Even with the ambient heat from these buildings, it didn't do much to the trees. A few are brown, but I cannot say the trees burned up. And this happened again and again and again. And so I started analyzing fires everywhere. And somewhere along the line, I finally found a YouTube video of John Lord and Matt Dakin, who analyzed Paradise, California on 3 different occasions.
And who are they?
They're both 30-year fire captains, one out of Petaluma and one out of San Ramon. They were good friends, and they saw what I saw. They did 5 good videos with Shelly. You can find them on YouTube. And they saw all the anomalies that I saw. So I left them a message on YouTube. They got back to me, and we got together and showed them all my work, and they said I was exactly right. And then over the last 4 or 5 years now, I've been educating them on what trees actually grow in California, which ones burn and which ones don't.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there real quickly just to make a quick note. He says that he teamed up with 2 other fire captains that both had, 30 years experience, 60 years, under their belt combined. And I'm still waiting, and I know a lot of people are still waiting. I still haven't seen anything from the fire chief of Maui. Still haven't heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, okay? But has anybody heard of any fire officials, any fire inspectors? All we've heard was from the mayor, the governor, the police chief. We heard something briefly from somebody from the military, and everybody else besides the, how can I say, fire specialist. Has anybody found that kind of strange? Has anybody even seen anybody inspecting and making reports? Just curious. You know, usually when a fire burns in somebody's house and there are insurance claims that can be collected, there is always a fire inspector coming, with or without the fire chief, but they show up to see if it was deliberate, whatever the case is. It's funny how the insurance adjusters are allowed to make it in, okay? It's funny how people that want to buy the property, real estate agents, are able to make calls, and there has been some reports of them making it to Maui. But has anybody questioned where are the fire inspectors to come around and see exactly, you know, for insurance purposes, was the fire due to the Maui fire? Was it due to the heat? Was it somebody that took the opportunity to burn down their property to collect the insurance? Do you see all the little out-of-the-box scenarios that people need to think about and they don't? You would think that they will have, an army of people out there to truly see what's going on. And the reason why I say that is because the mayor, okay, just did a press conference, because now everybody knows that come October 8th, they're going to be kicking people out that they were giving out hotel rooms to. But it so happens that now the mayor is saying the reason why they got to be very careful, because there was a lot of people, okay, who didn't suffer from the fire, meaning that they were homeless, but they were able to make their way to get some of these hotel rooms. How did they figure that out? How did they go so detailed to figure that out? I mean, in my opinion, I can care less. I can give a flying rat's ass who's homeless at the time. In my opinion, everybody's homeless at the time. But they went out of their way to make sure about that. But all these little details that I'm mentioning, nobody's come around that. No, I mean, all the stories I hear from people is people trying to buy their property, okay, or what have you, but I have yet to hear anybody who says they lost a business or a home that there was a fire inspector or something like that at their property or their place of business to find out what happened. Because regardless of the fact that they said this was a wildfire, nobody's taken into account that maybe somebody could have capitalized off these fires and say, you know what, with all the chaos that's going on, let me just burn down my property for the insurance purposes. You see what I'm saying? You got to think outside the box, man. But let's continue.
Sadly, a year and a half ago, we lost John. He died of different types of problems. But they gave me a good start and introduced me to a lot of folks that know what's going on in these fire scenarios. So,
what do you think is going on in these fire scenarios?
Well,
when firefighters or captains are questioning things just the same as you are?
Yeah, when they get out and question them, not many of them, I think, will speak up.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid of retribution somehow, either getting fired or something worse. Many of the top fire people know exactly what's going on. When you don't see the forest burn, but yet houses are, and some of these materials don't burn, you have to ask your question, what is going on here?
There you go. So it makes me wonder why the fire chief skipped town. I've only seen an interview of one firefighter on YouTube, a female, going around. Just one. Now, maybe I might be wrong. I mean, there's tons and tons of video. Maybe there's firefighters out there that have made videos. I just haven't come across it. But what he just said about people that the people that should be asked certain questions, the ones that should be out there on the ground inspecting all this, that they don't want to be like ridiculed and stuff like that. It makes you wonder, why was the fire chief from beginning up until recent, why was he so silent? Where was he? You had the police chief, the mayor, and the governor. The waterworks guy made his comment. That was it. The guy with the sirens and Dala, I keep messing up his name. Forgive me. He resigned the next day. Besides that, where was the fire chief? It makes you wonder. But let's continue.
And many of the fire captains and other workers have said, we've never seen fires like this, or the fires were so hot we couldn't even get close to them to put them out. And they were also very hard to put out. And so over the years, I've come to different conclusions. I believe most of these fires are microwave based. They're not normal wood fires that we know of. And I'll get into that later here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now he said what he said. Okay. You guys heard that. Now I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to get upset and say what they want to say. Listen, I don't care. Okay? This is America. We all have the right to our opinion. I'm not saying that's the cause of this. Okay? This man is stating something that, an opinion that he feels. Okay? Regardless of what people may think about him, if he's a liar, if he's not, if he's one of those tinfoil hat wearing, listen, that doesn't concern me. It doesn't concern me. What concerns me is what he's talking about and how it's almost a mirror image of what happened in Maui as far as the destruction. Okay? He made a comment when he said that sometimes the fires were so hot you couldn't get near it. The reason why that stuck out to me is because I seen another video of a survivor that said that the fire was nowhere near them. It was way off in the distance. But when they opened up the front door to get out, she said, we got hit with a blast of heat that was so unbearable. And she goes, and the fire was nowhere near us. I mean, it was way, whatever it was, a mile away, 2 miles away, 10 miles away. She goes, but the heat that hit us. Now, it's safe to say with all the winds blowing, of course, all that heat's going to build up. I get it. But, I mean, fires that, it was almost as if they would, it's like they burned and burned and burned and stopped. And instead of still burning, meaning everything else around it that should have burned, i.e. the trees, they did it. Curious? Anyone? But let's continue.
Many materials will not burn. And I have a saying I made up. All the materials that didn't burn should have, and all the materials that did burn shouldn't have.
That's true.
And I want to start on, this is in Maui now. I've taken some of the pictures off the internet here. So none of these Maui pictures are mine. And I'm going to expand on every one of these pictures. And this is the same stuff exactly that I've seen in California. No different, all the same fire footprints, things that don't make sense. Here, a home's on fire and nothing else. And I believe that's because of all the metals, whether they're ferrous or non-ferrous, that are in a house. These things get hit, they burn, and it's rare to see a tree burn or any plant unless it's in very close proximity to the house. And I mean 10 or 15 feet. So this is common now. Here you have, it looks like a grove of eucalyptus trees. I'm not positive on the species. The whole left, they didn't burn. Meanwhile, the house is just gone. The cars, they all look like this. They'll be dented up. The windows will be melted out. Now, the auto glass melts approximately at 2,500 degrees.
Whoa.
Forest fires don't get that hot.
It's like-
full-fledged forest fire goes up to 1,400.
Yeah, I was just gonna say 1,400.
And
wow,
to get
and
above
also
that-
the wheels are melted.
Yeah, I'm getting to that. And unless you're adding different accelerants or really burning some hot wood, you're not getting above those temperatures. Perhaps here and there you would, but it would not melt these windows. You notice the doorknobs are always gone. The rims, they're an alloy or an aluminum, they melt out at 1,221 degrees. That doesn't happen. Your fires on the ground that are in the grass, if they're a couple inches off the ground, they're only 300 degrees. The two fire captains educated me on that. They never see rims melted out in a combined 60 years of service.
Okay. Now I'm going to stop it there. The video is very long. I'm going to give you my thoughts on this, and I'll leave a link in the description. And the reason why I'm doing that is because, like I said, it's very long, but you people have to watch the whole thing. And the reason why I stopped it here is because a video that I did about 2 weeks ago, it was actually Hawaii Real Estate that did the video, and I did a reaction video to it, and it talked about, and he was talking about the cars that were burnt up, how the rims were all melted. Okay, so I did the video, put it out. Somebody left a comment saying, "Oh, when cars burn, the rims melt." Now, I also said in the video that I used to go scrap for metal. Okay, so a lot of times I will go to the junkyard, and a lot of times I will go to like the car boneyard, okay, and go pick up car parts and stuff like that. And you could see the cars that they brought in that were totally burnt. It was just gone. Okay, and sometimes the tires were melted, but still somewhat intact. Never seen rims melted off of it. Okay. You could see shattered glass inside the cars. Never seen melted glass. Okay. And the reason why I'll cut this off right here, because of what he said, and what I'm trying to say is that when that person left a comment trying to tell me, oh no, you know, that's what happens when cars burn, this and that, in one part of the video, it shows two cars in I guess what looks like a neighborhood lot. Okay? And that was one of the videos that Hawaii Real Estate did, where it's just two cars. There is nothing around this for at least 20 yards, 30 yards. Nothing around these two cars, but then around it are houses and trees and all that. These two cars are scorched, just gone. And there's nothing else around those two cars burnt. You mean to tell me the fire jumped over all those houses behind those cars, clung to those two cars, but didn't, and stopped right there, didn't burn anything else? Some people would say, well, it was the heat of the fires. What heat of what fires? That everything else around those two cars was fine. The houses, everything was fine. These two cars, and if you don't believe me, go check out Hawaii Real Estate's videos. You'll see the two cars I'm talking about. All this doesn't make sense. And like I said before, it was never meant to make sense, because it was, in my opinion, again, in my opinion, it's been nefarious from the beginning. That's my opinion. But I'm sorry it's another long video. I do get a lot of comments from people that do like them, and I appreciate that. So again, I'm True Outlaw Patriot. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. I'll leave a link in the description so you can continue watching it. And all I'm saying is, people, keep an open mind. Okay? I don't know all the answers. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going by what I see, and I'm giving my opinion on everything I see. And I'm throwing in whatever life experience I have. Okay? But when you're getting comments and emails of people telling you stories of things that they went through that have nothing to do with Maui, but it's almost all the same, or they can add to it to say, well, this is what I think it is because this is what this reminds me of. We got to take all that into consideration. We got to take everything into consideration. And I say that because the powers that be are not giving everybody the right answers. Well, I shouldn't say the right answers, the truthful answers. Because anything to anybody could be the right answer doesn't make it exactly the right answer. But with that, keep praying for the people in Maui. And remember, stay vigilant, keep praying, and keep praying for each other. Peace.